spreads confusion and promotes lies. The gospel of Jesus Christ spreads confusion and promotes lies. The gospel of Jesus Christ spreads confusion.
Hey everybody, it's Thursday, February 16th, 2012, This Non-Religious Life. I'm your host, Ken. With me all the way across the country, we have Bob.
Hello.
And Jason.
That's my hello. What are you doing? How you doing?
I'm on like 1/4 impulse power this morning, boys.
Oh, no. No coffee this morning?
Nah, coffee's helping, but it's
Yeah.
not
I know
quite
how it
getting me
is.
there.
Drunk.
I don't know why I went to bed so late last night, but I did. And I was thinking as I was laying in bed, I was like, oh, this is going to suck tomorrow.
Well, I went to bed properly at 9:30, and no, not really.
Yeah.
I put
I think
at midnight exactly. We put up a new episode of Natural Ones. Yay! So
I know
episode 2 is
I
up.
actually ended up forwarding it because I was awake at that time because I was only like 6 here. But God, I must have gone to bed at like, I don't know, 11:30 or midnight, which is really, really late when you have to get up at 5 in the morning.
Yeah.
And then my smallest of the two cats decided to make a lot of noise all night. So I had to constantly get out of bed to see what she was up to. Knocking over trash cans and standing on paper bags. Just too much noise.
Awesome.
But I'm awake now and I have coffee.
And since we're all awake and ready to go, I think the focus of this show, everybody knows we pre-record, since tomorrow is officially Valentine's Day, I think we should all get in touch with our sensitive side and tell the world how much we love them.
I don't
Oh
even
my
know
God.
what to say.
I'm just kidding. Let's do the show.
No, I love Valentine's Day, man. It's awesome. I mean, it's like,
Because the massacre was the awesome.
oh,
Yeah.
that aside, I mean, come on, it's a totally like commercial Hallmark holiday, but whatever, still fun.
What holiday isn't?
Right.
So anyway. So what's the topic for today if we're not going to be talking about love, peace, and kindness?
Well, we can sort of talk about love with the anyone who's been watching the news knows about the whole contraceptive healthcare thing that's going on right now.
Would it be appropriate if I
Or is
said
it
that
Bob?
sucks? Oh, okay.
No, he's talking about the what exactly was the Catholic Church reached a compromise on this or something? Because it was the government had to require that they provide birth control if they provided insurance.
Yes.
And the Catholic Church, the clergy or whatever, people who work for the Catholic Church, they weren't the Catholic Church didn't want to provide birth control to its employees, despite the federal mandate.
Yeah.
So what was the compromise exactly?
The compromise was, let's see. Apparently, the Archbishop of, I don't know where he's the Archbishop of, but he's Timothy M. Dolan. I think he's the Archbishop of like New York or something, but I've seen that name before. Said that it just didn't go far enough. And that's what's going on now, as far as I know. Archbishop of New York. Bob, while I find this, why don't you talk about what this all is?
Well, it was the federal government passed a bill that said that if you provide health insurance, you have to provide the option for birth control. That like birth control has to be wrapped up in your health insurance plan. Now, as a person, you don't have to use the birth control, but that option has to be available to you. And the Catholic Church balked on it because their stance on contraception is archaic and misguided and out of date, and they balked on this bill, and so now apparently they've reached some kind of compromise. And like, I can't understand why the Catholic Church. Well, I mean, I can see why they would, but I just think that whole notion of being anti-contraception is ludicrous.
Well,
I mean,
God put us here on earth to multiply and be fruitful.
But I was listening to Lawrence Krauss talk about it a little bit. He got to mention it, and he said their stance is that they don't want to interfere with the possibility of birth and creating of life. And he was like, really what they ought to be concerned about is masturbation, because there's wasted potential.
You can still use it in a condom.
Ew.
I don't know. It's better than a sock, I guess. I'm just waiting for Ken to.
Sorry, I'm just trying to find what the compromise was.
It's just another instance where religion is getting in the way of progress.
Well, let's talk about how important it is to the church to be able to reproduce and not. Why is it so important to them to be able to, every time you have sex and every time you ejaculate, it has to be there to fertilize an egg? Why is that important, and why does it carry on?
I'm not sure. I bet there's like some kind of scriptural basis for it.
There is.
Of course.
Ken, that was what's called a setup.
Yeah, there is, and I'm gonna pull it up in 1 second as soon as my software gets up and running. It actually ties into the whole masturbation thing.
What's the song? Every sperm is sacred.
Things,
Yeah,
actually.
Every
I love that song.
sperm. I'm not gonna sing because my voice is.
If a sperm is wasted, God gets quite irate.
Oh my
Every
god.
sperm is saved.
Yeah, I'm not sure that.
Every sperm.
A few things, actually. The first is where is it? They're both in Genesis, really.
At the beginning.
Yeah, well, God tells Adam and Eve to, be fruitful and multiply.
I think it is.
What?
Go ahead. Sorry.
And that's the basis for, Catholic families and, religious families in general, having as many kids as they can. That's why, at the Super CPAC or whatever, they named that the Duggar woman, Michelle Duggar, whatever her name is, as Woman of the Year.
Breeder of the Year.
Yeah, right? The other thing is in Genesis 38, and this is the story of Onan. And do you know the story of Onan?
I do not.
Well, his
Ken, tell me the story.
His brother was married, but died before he could have a son. So Onan was obligated to give his brother's wife a child. But every time he would go have sex with his brother's wife, he would pull out and ejaculate on the floor. And it pissed God off so much that he actually struck him dead. Yep. Yeah.
That is an awful story.
Yeah.
Not an awful story. There is a new app, and I'm trying to find out the name of it because I read about it yesterday, and I forgot the name. But it deals with CPAC, and it deals with sex. It's an app, because how you can go on Craigslist and go to like the looking for sex ads. I don't know what section that is, but there's.
Oh, you know.
No, Miley knows. She reads them to me all the time. I'm sitting here editing. She goes, "Oh my God, read this one." But there's an app now that you can get if you're looking for gay sex, and it's just for the politicians at CPAC. Because apparently every year the fundamentalist Republicans are always caught having sex in the hotel room with other boys and other men. during this conference. So they've made an app for it. So if you are looking or you're providing a service, you can put it in this app, and
So you can be discreet.
Yep.
Nice.
Pretty awesome. I'm trying to find that app now so I can tell you. For any listeners who want to...
Yeah. If you're attending the CPAC conference. Handy tip.
That's ridiculous.
I don't know, man. I think that church stance on procreation and sex, I think that makes us... I've heard some women describe it as slaves to our biology, and I agree. I mean, we're better than that.
It's called Grindr. Grindr.
I've heard of that. I have gay friends.
I don't know how we get onto half the subjects we get onto sometimes.
But anyway, because you were looking up something, we were providing filler.
Right. I can't leave you guys to your own devices, apparently.
No pun intended. Oh, get it? Because anyway.
Interesting side fact to this whole story about Onan, though, is that Tamar, the woman he was supposed to impregnate, eventually disguised herself as a harlot and slept with her father-in-law, and those two are listed in the genealogy of Jesus, according to Matthew.
What geographical location did this happen in? Texas?
Yes.
Okay.
Texas is the promised land. Or at least everyone from Texas I've ever met has said that.
It's so
including Jason.
Yeah, I've said that. Mm-hmm.
He was talking specifically about the
like,
Dr. Pepper bottling plant.
No more.
What are we supposed to learn from the story of Onan?
Don't pull out.
Yeah. I was reading...
Contraception leads to death.
I was reading something about that they were saying, like, even before birth control pills and before condoms, the birth rate among women was going down, and so women were practicing some form of contraception even before birth control pills.
I'm sure, yeah, everybody would. I mean, I think throughout history. I mean, because it's not like in modern times that people go, you know what? I don't want to have a child. I think that probably happened all the time.
I bet it. I mean, right. I mean, that's kind of a no-brainer that you think that would happen. But I'm just saying, like, it's been going on a long time. So now now we can do it precisely and safely, and it's a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually called demographic transition theory. As countries develop towards being industrial and post-industrial nations, birth rate declines because, infant mortality declines. So, like, a family doesn't have to have 12 kids just to be on the safe side that they're going to have 6 living, healthy ones to run the farm, Contraception just gets the job done easier. Everyone's slightly less stressed because they can still have sex.
Yeah, it's that's just every time I think about what the church is doing, it just pisses me off.
So, but what started this whole thing was you were trying to find the compromise in the bill of what the Catholic Church did.
I can't find it.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, why don't we talk about? What's everyone's stance on this? Forcing a religious institution to pay for something that it might not support.
Well,
but is on the flip side of the coin something that every one of their employees should have the right to if they want it.
Well, I think if it's government mandated insurance or and it says that you have to offer it, it doesn't mean you have to use it. It's just you have to offer it. Then yeah, the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like Catholics go to a gas station and go, oh, I was gonna get gas there, but you sell condoms. I'm gonna go somewhere else. I mean, you can still get gas there. You can still go get your drinks. You can still get your candy or whatever you get when you go to a gas station, because they sell condoms. They sell magazines that whatever. I mean, there's things that they disagree with there, and in the healthcare, in a bill that gives people the option to have birth control covered in health insurance, it's not even visible to the Catholic Church. It's not even like every time you go get gas and you go to the counter, you see a rack of condoms or whatever. With the healthcare bill, you don't see it. If you don't see it, you don't use it, it doesn't harm you. But it's there for the families who don't follow 100%. It's like, I don't want to have 20 kids. I'm going to wrap it up.
Which is statistically speaking, most Catholics. I think the number is about 80% of Catholics use contraception.
I think they are using this to breed controversy, to keep the Catholic Church in the headlines, because as we all know, anytime it's constantly repeated of any group, any person multiple times, people talk about it, and it sets in your head and gets people talking about the issue. And now people are talking about, should we use condoms? Should we obey God? Or, whatever the message they want to put out there is. So I think it doesn't hurt the Catholic Church for them to offer, to have it wrapped in their bill. It actually helps them because it gives them another platform.
I don't see this as a media grab by the church, man. I see it as a barbarous and archaic institution kicking and screaming its way into the future.
Well, if what Ken said is right, is that a majority of Catholics don't want to have 20 children or 12 children, and the church is still pushing this, it can't be. I mean, if they're not reflecting if their followers are not reflecting what the church believe anyway, there's a disconnect in the teaching. So the only thing they have left is to use this as a platform to try to bring the fallen flock back home.
Maybe that's like them trying to spin it in their favor, but I think the whole controversy starts with them being, just out of touch and out of date.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's...
And not having its, and for lack of a better word, constituency or not having its followers' best interests at heart.
Not having the
I couldn't agree more. And it's something that I know I've been watching the news more from the political side than the religious side with this, and it seems like a lot of the Republican candidates are grabbing onto this and talking about Obama's war on religion and all that. And I think it's really a death knell for a lot of them, because so many Catholics do use, contraception. I mean, not all Catholic families are the Duggars who have 20 kids now, 19 kids, whatever. Like my dad's family is devout Catholic, and he has one sibling.
I think that this perceived war on religion is another instance of spin doctrine. Let's look at it. It's not a war on religion. It's a religious war against people's constitutional freedoms. There's the conflict.
Yeah, it's a religious conflict against secularism. And it's like you said, they're going to get dragged into the next century, kicking and screaming, whether they like it or not. It just depends on which century they want to get dragged into. The next century for them is often the 19th.
Yeah, and I don't understand like how they get a pass, because for these outrageous practices and it's like, okay, because it's their religion. And I don't know. It's hard to avoid, when you think about things like this, it's hard to avoid falling into that trap of cultural relativism. But
yeah,
because we think oh, well, that's their belief system, and that's what they feel, and we should respect that. No, wrong is wrong.
Yeah, when I was in college, you take, I was a social sciences student, so studying sociology, anthropology. You learn cultural relativism, but you have to temper that. Nothing's beyond reproach. If something is inherently wrong, and a culture does it, it doesn't mean that you have to back off and say, oh, that's whatever. That's a relativistic fallacy. I mean, if that's the case, then you could justify anything. Everyone is a unique set of cultures and subcultures and countercultures, and therefore every single person is a unique cultural entity. So therefore, anything anyone believes, you could just say, oh, that's just their culture.
Yeah.
You could justify Hitler or I don't know, Jeffrey Dahmer or anyone really, and just say that's just the culture that they subscribe to. But you can't do that, and you can't do that with the Catholics either, and say, oh, it's just their, or any religion.
No, I agree. They should not get a pass.
And I'm glad to see in this day and age we're finally moving away from letting religion have a pass on things like this. Like, I mean, it was last year. I remember when it happened, Bob. You and I talked about it. I think it was Washington or Oregon. They passed a bill stating that if parents let their children die of a preventable disease because they opted out of medical treatment because of their religious faith, they can be charged with manslaughter and negligence.
Yep.
And it's awesome.
That just happened, didn't it? There was a family that just charged with it.
I
Really?
think that's the one.
Yeah.
It's been a year, but they've finally been. I think they were found guilty, and then they just had their sentencing.
Yeah.
And you're right, because you know what? You can't just say like, oh, well, that's our religious belief. Well, your belief has consequences.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
that's a
negligent,
sad story, but
Yeah.
those people should be in jail.
They're suffering enough.
Yeah. That's like if I got behind the wheel of a car, closed my eyes, and just let it drive into a crowd.
I've seen you drive.
And I can't get off on saying, oh, it's my religious belief that, God guides the car, not me.
What does Bill Maher call it? Yahoo Jesus, take the wheel.
Yeah, right? Oh. It's religious nuttery at its best. And with this whole contraception thing, it really is just, the religious powers that be dictating to the people what they can and can't do, and getting upset when the government says, "Hey, you can't do that."
Yeah, they've hid behind their their religious values for too long, and they shouldn't get a pass for it. They should be right. We talked about this before. Like, I don't want them to pay taxes, but they still have to play by the rules.
Yeah. They're not exempt from the rule of law.
Yeah.
As much as they would like to be the rule of law, they're not exempt from the rule of law. And it's almost ironic.
Don't you think?
Don't you think? Because this is a group who all they do is dictate how people should live. But when they're told that they can or can't do something, they throw a fit.
Well, that's not uncommon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just, man, this is just another black eye for the Catholic Church.
As if it needs
all we need is like a couple more like pedophile priest scandals, and on top of
well, I think you have a quite interesting story to follow that statement.
Yeah.
And all right, so I ran across this article on Dig, and this is the ultimate, I guess the ultimate stance on on religion getting a pass. And it turns out it's a real thing. I didn't believe it, but it turns out it's a real thing. And it's a Jewish circumcision ritual, and it's called I can't pronounce it. It's I don't speak Hebrew very well. It's metzitzah b'peh, METZITZAH B''PEH. And it's when the child is circumcised, the mohel, the Jewish rabbi, the mohel sucks the blood from the child's penis with his mouth. You heard me correctly. The old man puts his mouth on the baby's penis.
All I can say is some people get all the luck.
You are the worst. And I read about this, and I was like, no fucking way, no way. But it turns out it's a real thing, and it's kind of like, I don't know, it's this controversy among Orthodox Jews, and some people are advocating for the practice. And apparently there was this guy, he was a mohel in New York City, and he gave 5 children gonorrhea this way.
Oh.
Was it gonorrhea or was it herpes?
I think they said it was
Because it matters.
No, I'm just
herpes.
I'm seeing the word herpes a few times.
It was herpes.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. And people are defending this practice.
I have never seen this in my life. I have never seen this. This blows my mind.
No pun intended.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
It's that morning for me. I'm sorry.
That is a horror. This is horrible. I can't believe that this is actually.
Yeah, that is pretty fucked up.
Oh my gosh!
Wow.
But so this is a tradition that's been going on for how long, or is this just something
since I don't know, at least 2,000, 3,000 years.
So why is it the first time that we've heard it? I mean, why hasn't there been an outcry for it?
I think because a lot of Orthodox Jewish communities are very closed communities.
But even within that, don't you think somebody would go, wait a fucking minute?
Thought.
You keep your mouth off of it.
I don't know. I don't know why this. I don't know why people aren't going berserk over this. But I suspect the reason is because
that's what I'm saying is like there's no way that it happened this long, and there hasn't been. I mean, because like circumcision, there's been a constant movement to end that practice. You think within that movement, if they're trying to get leverage within the community to get public support, there you go. Oh, by the way, another reason it's wrong is because this dude's sucking off of the, And I know. I'm just saying. Something's not adding up. Is all I'm saying.
I think that there's a practice where they, where the mohel uses like a glass pipe, so his mouth isn't.
So it's a bong hit off of the peanut.
Yeah, but it's something to do with like because a lot of Jewish practices are very rooted in like ancient tradition, and I'm sure it had. I'm sure it has like. I'm sure that it has. I don't know. I'm sure it performed some function 2,000 years ago that was better than the alternative. But not now. It's like you got no way.
Yeah.
Weird. And so apparently this one guy in New York, they had to put a restraining order on him. He couldn't perform any more bris because he was giving kids herpes. And one kid died. And this is the supreme example of religion getting a pass.
If it's
no, it's real. Oh shit!
You thought I was making it up?
I was just like, it seemed suspect at first because I'm googling it, I'm looking for it, and the only thing that's coming up are like crazy nut job white power sites, and I was like, oh, there's something wrong with this. But no, MSNBC.
So you're saying the only people who are outraged by this are white supremacists?
Right, white supremacists.
Why is this story just getting crazier by the moment? Son of a bitch.
Yeah, look, I'm not.
Don't side
like
me on with their.
There's no part of my argument that is anti-Semitic. It is this whole practice is in and of itself awful.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you're an atheist and doing it. It's wrong.
This is wrong.
I'm still. I guess it plays into your argument. It's religion getting a free pass.
Yeah, this is
I don't think anybody in their right mind would allow that. If he's seriously putting his mouth, he's drinking the blood. Let's take out the penis part. He's drinking the blood of your child.
You can really look at this in lots of horrible ways, but what a like creep factor alone. Like, how unsanitary is that?
With or without the glass tube?
Insane.
Well, I mean, I guess with the glass
this.
tube is supposed to provide a measure of what do they call that? Damn it, not sanitation, but shit. Can't think of the word.
Good morning, Bob.
Sterile.
The sterile.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like a sterile technique, and
But anytime you put your
know,
mouth on
fine,
something that's sterile, it's no longer sterile.
Yeah, this is
well, I don't
like,
turn it around. You don't have to use both ends.
What we do now?
from what I'm seeing, this is actually really, really, really rare.
Okay.
Like, even within super orthodox circles, this is actually really rare. But wow,
But
that's
doesn't give it a
crazy.
pass just because it's rare.
No, I mean, sure, just because it's rare doesn't mean it's right. But
Yeah.
it's what the fuck?
Even if it happens 1% of the time, that's still too much.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing I can see from this though was way back in 2005. But still, that's crazy.
Well, I mean, I guess for the
Who knew circumcision got crazier
Yeah.
than it already was?
And again, some people get all the luck.
It's just really bad.
Like, what? Bob, I don't know where you were that you found this, what you were looking for, but
Apparently, he was on a pornographic
on
white
the,
supremacist site.
Yeah, it was on.
Yeah.
It was on Dig, and it was it's really it was on Dig. I found it on Dig, and I read it and was like, no,
yeah, wow,
this is terrible.
that's crazy.
It is crazy. So what is it called again?
I can't
It
pronounce
is
it.
called
How do you pronounce that? I believe the first word is metzitzah.
Yeah, metzitzah b'peh. I mean, my Hebrew isn't very good either, but
My Hebrew is non-existent.
Crazy.
huh?
And like, doesn't that it like metzitzah, the technique metzitzah b'peh, it like, doesn't it literally mean something like oral suction?
It means suction by mouth, yeah, literally.
Nice.
Interesting.
Huh.
But anyway,
All right, well, moving
That-
on to
wow.
wackadoo.
All right.
Religious beliefs. What was the thing that you sent out? Because I couldn't read it very well, but it was like a conference on geocentrism.
oh yeah.
Yeah, it happened back in 2010. But I've come across this before. It was a conference on geocentrism, and the title of it was "Galileo Was Wrong." Like it's been 400 years and they can't get over it. Like, just deal with the fact that the world is not a flat disc surrounded by water, protected by a crystal sphere with the sun rotating around it. Just deal with it.
Now,
No, there's science that proves that they were right.
so their geocentric model Now, is that flat Earth as well?
I'm pretty sure it is. I know, right? Like,
you want to talk about
yes,
willful
because
ignorance?
let's see. The speakers were a guy who wrote a book called Geocentrism. They know it, but they're hiding it. Introduction to the Mechanics of Geocentrism. Scientific experiments showing Earth motionless in space. Scientific evidence. Earth in the center of the universe. Answering common objections to geocentrism. The biblical firmament. Outer space is not empty. Galileo and the Church, what really happened. The Fathers and exegesis of Scripture on geocentrism. English ideology, Newton, and the exploitation of science. It's hard to read this thing. Carbon-14 and radiometric dating show young Earth. So they are young Earth, they're flat Earth, and they believe that the Earth is the center of the universe, which is crazy.
You have got to be.
You know, I mean, like, with the whole, like, Earth motionless in space, you could argue it because with relativity, it's hard to say what's moving and what's not. But I mean, still, like, it's easier to understand that the Earth is rotating around the sun than everything's rotating around the sun, and then the sun is also rotating around the Earth. You know?
Can you explain to me why
you could say Jupiter is fixed in space?
Right. Well, that's the beauty of relative motion. You know, you can in any model you can make one thing stationary and everything else moves relative to that. But that's not. But that's an artificial model imposed on the system.
Yeah, for the sake of understanding the model.
Right. But you know, laws of planetary motion show that you know how orbits work, and one thing orbits another, and then that thing is orbiting around a bigger thing, and it's willful ignorance.
I mean, and these like, this is nuttery. This is crazy. Like, these people supposedly have PhDs. I don't know what the fuck they have PhDs in.
I was thinking of that guy in Futurama. You have a PhD in baloney.
Yeah. Like, oh man, this is
awesome. There's a nice website I'm looking at that you can download all their publications. And it's pretty awesome.
That is, and I like
there's a new conference coming up.
I think it was Benedict the 16th, back when he was Cardinal Ratzinger. Actually wrote a paper defending the church's stance on Galileo and how he's wrong. And one of the things that he talked about was actually the relativistic motion. But he didn't talk about it like he said, you know, even the theory of, you know, of relativity says that the Earth could be stationary and you can't tell which is moving. It's like, yeah, but that's a model. Actually, he was going to speak at, I think it was some technical university in Italy, and the students boycotted it because of that paper.
I just added in the Dropbox for you guys a paper from the Galileo was wrong, the church was right website.
Darwin, Newton, Einstein at the end of their rope.
Yeah. I see that you got it. And there's another one from the website. It's a response on geocentric. I can't talk. It's a response on, quote, gravity.
Oh, yeah. It's great. It's great.
How do you have a response?
You know, it's one of those things like, yeah, if I squint my eyes and I turn my head sideways, I can make it look like, you know, how I want, but that doesn't make it so.
Yeah. That's
you have to wake up in the morning and like knowingly put on blinders and knowingly deny all the evidence to stand by a geocentric model?
I don't know.
A young Earth model, a young flat Earth geocentric. That doesn't get any.
They're bringing back medieval astronomy, and I love it. Now we can go to what is that theme place where you get to watch people joust and eat a big turkey leg?
Medieval
Nights. Yeah. So now they're gonna have a section back there for astronomy.
Like,
that's bad.
I mean, are they going to like when you get into that, like, you might as well just like forego like modern medical procedures. Let's go back to bloodletting. You know?
Yeah.
How
Let's go back to
do they
drilling
reconcile
holes in people's heads to let demons out when they have a headache?
How do they reconcile, like Gagarin orbiting the planet for the first time, and the moon landing, and us successfully, launching Voyager outside of the solar system? Like, how do they rationalize those things?
Like this. La 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 la. Their fingers in their ears, their eyes closed, humming to themselves.
Apparently, the people who do the Galileo was wrong, the church was right. Website do podcast interviews because they have a couple on that they were guest on. So hint, hint, nudge, nudge.
Yeah.
All right. Look, get on here. He can explain his geocentric model.
Oh my God. Like, it's nuttery. It's insanity. Like, flat, young, geocentric Earth.
Volume 1. Here it is. They have Galileo was wrong, the church was right. Volume 1, 2, 3, and I think 4. But it says it's one of the most unique and penetrating books you'll ever read. Now complete in volumes 1 and 2. And it goes on. It says, take you on a tour of science and history, with the likes that you will have never believed possible unless you were told in detail and graphic form.
I like the one.
Has modern science led you down the primrose path and convinced us of something that they cannot prove that is actually false?
What if the graphics are crayon drawings?
They can't prove it.
Here, I'm gonna send you this link. And
who was the guy? The ancient Greek that calculated the circumference of the Earth using just a couple of sticks?
Oh God.
Even he knew the world was round.
But he had sticks. He's no scientist.
He accurately calculated the circumference of the Earth using a couple of sticks, and he used the shadow of a tower. Carl Sagan explains it in Cosmos.
Yeah.
And using a very primitive method, but his reasoning was sound. He very accurately calculated the circumference of the Earth.
Awesome.
And you know what? It's a good thing he did it then, because if he'd have done it, 1,000 years later, they'd have burned him at the stake.
Well, it looks like they're trying to go back to that moment now. So
I believe it was I can't pronounce his name.
Okay, in your inbox will be the link to that site, and you can grab them for interviews.
Sure.
And also for you.
That'd be great. I'd love to talk to somebody that thinks about that the world is young and flat. And
I would like to know is like, okay, has NASA lied to us all this time? All those photos that we see, is that studio? Is that the same moon landing scenario? I
don't know how these people. How can you stick to that?
And does this play in the same vein as contraceptives that we were talking about at the beginning of the show? I mean, sticking to old ideas and not evolving. Didn't Darwin say? Since his birthday was
just the other day.
Yeah. He said it's not the smartest. It's not that survive. It's the ones who are able to adapt. How's the church, if they're still believing in medieval?
The geocentrics, they're a fringe group of nutbags.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
They're
they're on the fringe of the
fringe
fringe.
thing.
Like even most like young Earth creationists accept the fact that the Earth is round, or that the Earth orbits the sun. But yeah, this is like a layer cake of crazy. Like it's just one layer on top of another. It's like a full stack of pancakes of crazy.
But even on the cover of their book, they have the picture of the Earth as what we know it.
I don't know.
I'm confused. I'm gonna have to find.
What's the one guy has the subtitle in his book, like "The Truth They Don't Want You to Know" or something like that?
Yeah.
Like that
they're
guy's
hiding,
probably a conspiracy theory nut.
Yeah.
Well, no,
I'm sure they all are, but
they've proven that he was a con artist. If the main one, because even what is that podcast? Skeptic's Guide to the Universe was talking about him and saying how that he has a history of being a con artist. And
So that's a Trudeau book?
Huh?
The guy they talk about on Skeptic's Guide all the time he's the what they don't want you to know guy.
Yeah.
Is Kevin Trudeau.
Yeah, but no, this is not related to them. I'm just saying.
Oh. So all right. So here's where I think this is coming from. I think that those people who espouse that belief and have that, in their hearts that this is the truth. I think it comes from a weird, insane amount of not just pride but hubris. It's important for them to be the center of the universe. Like their sense of being comes from this idea that we as people are the center of the universe, and that we're God's chosen people, and we have this special place in the world, and it gives their lives meaning. And it's just, and like I said, it comes out of not just pride but hubris.
yeah. No, I agree. Actually, I saw a really funny meme the other day where it was a picture of the Middle East, a little arrow pointing at Palestine. I said, God's favorite place, and then picture of the Earth and space, and it's like God's favorite planet, and then it zoomed out, and like the galaxy is like God's favorite solar system,
Wow.
and then it zooms out even further, and it's like God's favorite galaxy. And then it zooms out where it's like a bunch of bubbles containing universes, and it's like God's favorite universe.
Yeah, that's
with the sheer size of the universe, and the idea that he favors one small, tiny, infinitely small speck is just, it's ridiculous. It's absurd. If God created all of this for just the Earth, what a fucking waste. Like, God could have created just the solar system and been done with it.
Yeah.
Without even really suspending the laws of physics. Just like create them, let them go. There you go. Why create the rest of the universe? And if he can suspend laws of physics at all, why even create that?
No, those are I agree with you, and I think that I think that people cling to those beliefs because it makes them feel good to feel that they're special, that there's this loving God who made this world just for them, and they're the center of it, and they're so special. Look how special you are, and the dark side to that is what a mean asshole that God is, because wow, you're special, but children and families are dying of starvation all over the world every day.
Yeah,
you're special.
Yeah. Yep. Well, it breeds a nice feeling of self and other. You're on the in group and they're on the out group, and
yeah, it's
that's all that matters.
them.
Well, it gives you something to do. I mean, he had this planned out perfectly, because if there wasn't people starving and people dying in war and famine, pestilence, and all that, then Christians wouldn't have anything to do. I mean, it's their job to. I'm just saying.
I think that there's this religious view that you have to have a religion to give your life meaning, and I reject that notion. In that, I am aware that we're only here for a really short little sliver of time, and I'm one small speck on a really, really big canvas. And so I think that affords me an appreciation of the life I have. Man, it is great. Not I'm special, but I'm really, really lucky in the grand scheme of things. Just waking up and breathing every day, you win the cosmic lottery.
Yeah. Was it Dawkins said there's way more ways to be dead than there are to be alive?
Yeah.
Like, you get a 1 in 2 million shot when you're conceived.
Yeah, I mean that's I don't know, man. I think that I'm trying to think of who said it about, like, even if we weren't here, the stars would still be out in the universe and they would still be, doing their star stuff. It's just the very fact that we're here to contemplate the stars, we provide the meaning, not the stars. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, it's like the old Japanese koan, like, if a tree falls in the forest and no one's around to hear it, does it make a sound? Of course it does. Of course it does.
What is the sound of one hand clapping? Anybody got that Simpsons reference? Anyone?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got the Simpsons reference.
But did you hear the clapping? I hope that was clapping. I mean,
Yeah.
There was.
considering what we started the show off with.
You'll see on the video.
No, I don't think I want to see it.
You'll see when you say it like that.
Anyway.
All right.
I have a glass tube.
How much time do we have?
It is 53 minutes into this program.
53
minutes.
minutes.
53 minutes. Okay. Our clocks must be synced up then, because it says 53 over here too.
Yeah, look at that. Technology!
Yeah. So, if you guys have been paying attention,
Yeah.
I'm waiting for my review proof for my book.
Ooh.
It's
I
in
saw
the
the
mail.
cover you settled on.
What's that?
I saw the cover you settled on. That looks nice.
Yeah.
I'm let down.
You let down?
I'm let down. The back
Why?
cover does not have what I expected to have.
Yeah.
A picture of me splayed on
Sexy
a
author
bearskin
Ken.
rug.
Yeah. Reading the Bible with candles.
Yeah, right.
Wearing a loincloth.
That's great. After I submitted my my manuscript and all that for like review, I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, I've spent so much time working on this book that I was like, I don't even know what to do. Do you know what I did? Started thinking about my second book.
What do you think you write for a second book?
I'm going to do something similar. So this book that's coming out is going to be a source critical version of the Pentateuch, the 5 books of the Torah.
So you just do the New Testament?
I'm going to do the Synoptic Gospels. I'm going to divide them up. I'm going to say, I'm going to take Matthew and Luke, I'm going to divide them up and say, this came from Mark, this came from Q, this came from the Old Testament, this is redaction, this came from, whatever other source, like in Luke, this came from Josephus.
Put them side by side?
It's going to be Mark, Matthew, and then Luke. I'll put them in chronological order. But each one's going to have its own introduction. I'm going to have a set of conclusions at the end, which my first book does not. And I already have the whole outline planned out. It's going to be a big one.
Yeah. Have you talked to Matt about the book coming out?
Yeah, I actually talked to him for a little while about it, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. I sent him a copy of the PDF for him to look over.
He was selling it.
I wonder if he's listening to the subsequent shows, because I've noticed like he's had some Facebook posts where I think he's in a bit of a crisis of faith.
Why?
I feel that too.
I think like he puts like he's made some posts on Facebook. He's like a Facebook guy, right? He posts a lot. Like if he's thinking about it, he'll make a Facebook post about it. And he's had a couple Facebook posts about like he's upset with mainstream Christianity and he's not happy with how people are using their faith, and
I don't think that's
and he's had some posts, and I don't want to get too personal with it, but he's had a couple posts where I'm like, this sounds like what someone would write if they're questioning their faith.
Or maybe question the followers. I mean, he could, because he said even on the show that that there's different levels, and he's obviously at a different level than what the mainstream is, and I could see him looking back and saying these things that may be taken as, crossing over, but it could be just self-critical analysis of.
It could be, or it could be a lot of things. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm trying to find.
We'll have him back on the show.
I'm trying to find what the. Maybe I'll look it up.
And if he crosses over, we can give him this non-religious life shirt. His. I went on this non-religious life, and all I got was freedom. Just kidding. We don't have that. But.
Yeah, he's too nice a guy to make fun of.
I wasn't making.
Yeah, no, he's awesome. Yeah, him and I get along swimmingly, and it's great. Yeah. He actually wrote a very nice blog about coming on the show.
Really?
Did you guys see that?
I did not.
No, I did not. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, he wrote a very nice blog about coming on the show. Like right after the show came out too. So I was excited to see that. No, he's a great guy. So what do we have? Like about 58 minutes?
Yeah, we're about time.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess this is the point where we can wrap it up. Unless you guys have something else you want to say.
Oh wait, that was beatboxing.
Take silence as a no.
That Bob is looking something up.
Oh, he had a blog post where he said, "Dear whoever, sometimes I wonder if I'm still a Christian. I know I love Jesus. I believe I've encountered God. I still like some evangelical and/or charismatic services. I love theology and philosophy. But I also know if I made some of my theological thoughts and doubts known, that I would feel somehow different from other people of the way that I know. I know I have some beliefs that might be considered heretical, some flimsy, some possibly dangerous. I don't know if I should feel like an outsider or not. I don't think I am." I don't know if he's reconciling his beliefs with like what mainstream Christianity is doing.
I mean, that's what I would take from it. I wouldn't take that he's questioning his beliefs. I think he's questioning the movement.
Maybe. But that's, I don't know. Yeah. It's interesting. And,
well, maybe he should. Maybe he should come on the show again.
He's a complicated guy,
and we will talk about this. And he can talk about it in an environment, get it out there, but in an environment where he's not going to be looked down upon by his peers or by the outsiders. Mm-hmm. I mean, because we're not his peers in terms of belief, and we're not. I mean, we're more of an outsider of his view, but we can talk it out.
Yeah, see, I ask him if he wants to come back.
Yeah,
to talk about that.
Yeah, he's remarkably well read too. He's read a lot of Ehrman.
Yeah,
and
he's a bright guy.
I believe Crossan. So it's cool. I like people who will read things outside of their comfort zone. Okay, I guess we'll wrap it up there. Anyone who wants to get in touch with us, you can call our hotline, 757-337-2195. Don't send text messages to it because it doesn't work, apparently.
No, you can send text messages to it. It works. I get them.
How do you get them?
Oh my God. Haven't I replied to? Anyway, we'll talk about this after the show.
Well, yeah. Okay.
Go.
Okay. All right. Apparently, you can text message it too. Apparently, so.
But we don't want to put that out there.
Jason will edit that out in post production, like he edits everything.
Yeah.
Don't you know?
Morning shows are the worst.
Yeah. You can email us, nonreligious@zombie-popcorn.com. You can like us on Facebook, facebook.com/thisnonreligiouslife. Put us in your circles on Google+. You can rate us on iTunes, download all the previous shows. You can, if downloading is not your thing, you can listen to us on Stitcher Radio. Download the app and just look for us on there. Just no syncing or anything like that. You can just listen to the live shows. And what am I missing?
That's about
I think
it.
that's all of them. I think that's all of them.
Is it?
I think so.
And if you forget any of that, you can always just go to zombiepopcorn.com and everything is there. With all the links, all the audio, all the video, all the love.
And you can sign up for the weekly mailing list, which sends you an update as to all the shows going on.
And do it soon if you want to, because
this one,
we're doing our very first e-newsletter. I don't know why I said e-news. Our first newsletter contest coming soon.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. And you can listen to Jason's show that started this all. You can listen to Bob's new show. All sorts of awesome content. Lots of good stuff really picking up on the site. So, check it out.
Check it out.
And with that said, have a good night, everyone.
God bless.
Goodbye.
Jesus got out here.
I thought I was a good Christian.
Jesus died on a cross. I go to church every Sunday. Jesus got out here. Then I read this. It says Jesus died on a cross for a rotten hooker.
I thought I was a good Christian.
I go to church every Sunday.
I thought I was a good Christian.
I go to church every Sunday. I'm a very religious person.
I thought I was a good Christian. The very lies the serpent told to Eve in the Garden of Eden. Garden of Eden. Garden of Eden. The gospel of Jesus Christ. Spreads confusion and promotes lies. The gospel of Jesus Christ. Spreads confusion and promotes lies. The gospel of Jesus Christ. Spreads confusion and promotes lies. The gospel of